This is a Singer 99 from 1926 and it needs a little bit of TLC because, as you can see, the bobbin winder is broken. It really isn't supposed to do that. The way it's supposed to work, I'll show you on this 99. I'm Ollie, this is Simply Stitchy, and in today's video I'm going to be looking at this bobbin winder to find out why it's broken and if I can fix it. Come on, let's get into it. To get the bobbin winder off one of these machines, you're not able to just take this bit off because you can't actually get a screwdriver in to get at that particular screw. So what we're going to need to do is take it off from the actual frame and take the whole mechanism off, including this mount here. And for that we're going to need a screwdriver. And it's just your normal flathead screwdriver. Okay, and then this should just lift straight off like so. Okay, I'm just having a little bit of a mess with it. That feels as though that bit's okay. It still looks as though it's got the spring working okay underneath there, but this bit, there's no spring there at all. It doesn't return back on itself, and the only reason it's going back down is because of gravity. So I'm going to take this off next to find out what's going on in here. Now usually you need to be a little bit careful when you take this bit off because the spring in there is quite a strong spring and it can go bing, but because it doesn't feel like there's any resistance behind there, I'm not too worried about just going for it. Only I think I'm going to get a bigger screwdriver just to give me a bit more purchase on that screw. There you go. That's the thing with screwdrivers, the bigger the handle, the more welly you've got. Okay, so basically the issue with this particular spring is the fact that there isn't one. It should sit right in that little groove there. I've done a quick Google search online to try and get a replacement spring for this bobbin winder, so obviously I can put it back together, and the only springs that I'm coming up with are these ones. Now this one is actually the stop latch spring, which is the spring that's behind this bit of the bobbin winder. The spring that I need for in here looks more like this. It's a round spring, it's got a sticking out spike on one side and a long bit coming out of the other. Now I've checked and the part number for this particular spring that is supposed to fit in there is 15286. This particular spring here, which I've ordered online, has a different part number. It's actually part number 125365, and that's what it looks like new. You see the little spiky bit and the long bit coming off the end. Unfortunately, because this is a Singer bobbin winder, this particular spring isn't going to fit, and I'm going to show you why. Although this little spiky bit will fit in the hole that's just in there, you see it? This is coming off at the wrong angle to actually bend back through here to come through that little gap just there. Now if you want to see this in better detail, I have a video on my channel called Cleaning the Pivot Arms Spring, and I'll put a link to that in the description box so that you can go and check that one out. But basically what happens when you put this spring back in there, you put the little spiky bit in the hole and this bit should pull round and sit in that groove, so that when you've got the whole lot back together, it kind of sits proud out here. But because this is angled in such a way that it's actually going that way round, it won't bend back to go through that groove. It wants to go that way, and that way just doesn't work, which is why I've ended up bending this particular spring. So, although this particular spring is a genuine part for Singer sewing machines, it does not fit the Singer 99. So part number 125385 is no good for the Singer 99. I have Googled the right part number for this particular spring here, the frame assembly spring or the pivot spring, and the correct number is 15286 as far as I can tell, and I cannot find that online anywhere. I have exhausted Google, I have exhausted all of my parts sources. If anyone out there knows where I can get part number 15286, I would be really appreciative, and let me know in the comments. The only one that's coming up online is part number 15291, which is for this smaller spring, which is the stop latch spring, which, as I've said, is the wrong spring because that one goes in there. So I have a little bit of a dilemma. In order to get this working, I'm in need of a spring. So I thought I'd cheat. So I am going to give up looking for springs, and I've been on eBay and I have bought an entire new bobbin winder, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just swap the lot. What I probably will end up doing is keep this bracket and change it out for that one, even though the decals are the same. That one's just in better condition than this one, so I'm going to take that off, put that one on, and then just replace this onto the machine. It does need a little bit of a clean. I bought this second hand. This has actually come from a donor machine that somebody was breaking for parts on eBay. It's not really worth me cleaning it until I've worked out if it works. So yeah, let's put it on the machine and let's see if I can get it up and running and if it's worth actually cleaning it up a little. Now with any luck I can get that back on the other mount without losing my spring. Let's just take a look at the spring that's in the 99 bobbin winder. If we Have a look at the two springs. This is the one that's just come out of the bobbin winder for a Singer 99, and you'll notice that the spiky bit is on the bottom on this one and on the top on that one. And if we have a look at the way the springs are actually wound, look, this one is going that way and this one is going that way. So it's incredibly important that if you are looking for a replacement pivot spring or frame assembly spring like this one, the one that fits in here, you need to make sure that that is wound in a clockwise direction and not anti-clockwise like it is on that one. So here we have a Singer 99 with a working functional bobbin winder. There are a couple of important lessons that I've learned in the process of changing this bobbin winder. Although parts from donor machines might look identical to the machine that you want to put those parts on, they aren't always. These days, screws and bolts tend to be produced on computer operated lathes called computer numerical control, or CNC lathes. The tolerances, and by that I mean the amount of measurements that can change from what they should be, tend to be less hit and miss. There's a higher level of precision because computers don't eyeball stuff, which isn't something that you can say about screws and bolts of old. They would have been turned on a numerical controlled machine with programmable settings, but they would have been ones that used punch cards, or maybe they would have been made on lathes using manually applied or eyeballed measurements. Not only that, but Singer sewing machines were made in different factories with different lathes. They were made around the globe, US, Canada, Scotland. Those seemingly insignificant variables can make a difference to an item's measurements. And my point here is tolerances back in those days would have been controlled by humans. Highly skilled humans, yes, but humans just the same. Case in point, this little guy. This is what caused me so much grief in the making of this particular video. My problems started when I wanted to use this mount instead of the one that came with the bobbin winder that I bought on eBay, because the replacement is grubby and it needs cleaning. It was at that point that I should have just taken out the spring and popped it into the original winder, because that is what I was trying to fix, the spring. But nope, I didn't do that. Why? I was told by two engineers from two different generations. One was an engineer back in the 50s and the other one in the 80s or 90s. And both of them told me that when you're dealing with machines of this age in particular, when you take screws out, you always put the screw back in the same hole it came out of, because that's the hole that screw is comfortable in. It's the one that it fits. I'm going to expand on that advice. Always use the bolts or the screws from the part they came out of. If I'd have remembered that little bit of advice when I came to fit this bobbin winder back together, it would have saved me a very, very large amount of hassle. I tried to use the parts from this mount on the shiny one, only this bolt here wouldn't fit. It's just a little smidge too thick, and what I ended up doing is using the parts that are on the original winder and just swapping out the spring, which is exactly what I should have done in the first place. You might also find that your own tolerances become negatively affected. I'm not saying my screwdriver felt the brunt of that with an impromptu frying lesson across the floor, and I'm not saying it didn't. Don't throw your screwdriver across the floor. It can break the plastic handle, and only bad workers blame their tools. It wasn't the screwdriver's fault, it was mine. For forgetting the reason I purchased a replacement winder in less than perfect condition in the first place, because all I wanted was the spring. I hope you liked today's video, and I hope you like watching a ditzy dumpling try to fix a spring on a sewing machine. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and why not check out some of the other videos that I've got on this channel by using the links coming up on the screen any minute now, or the ones I'll pop in the description box for you. And why not subscribe and hit the little bell just down there so that YouTube can let you know when I upload another video. Whichever video you go and check out next, hope to see you back here for the next one. And in the meantime, whatever you're sewing it with, embrace your creativity and have fun. Thank you ever so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.